What's up, guys? My name is Ted, and welcome to another episode of my new YouTube podcast on the Idaho 4. This week, in a couple episodes, we have covered fairly extensively the cleanup aspect of the crime scene. And yesterday, we got into an episode where we talked about some of the things that happened to the victims afterwards, specifically the posing and the covering of the victims. So I thought that would be a nice segue into this part three of the cleanup and staging series where I could just do like a top three items that I feel like represent the staging aspect of the crime scene and why. So I'm going to put a visual up for this so you won't see me, but you'll hear me talking you through these, and then we'll wrap it up on the other end. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so here are my top three very clearly staged items in the entire crime scene. Coming in at number three, the beer pong table. Even with the blitz type of attack in the 2 a.m. hour, and that the victims were likely attacked in their respective two bedrooms, it would seem highly unlikely that this flimsy table would have been in that exact location amid all of that chaos and cleanup activity in the aftermath, especially that triangle of flimsy red cups in that perfect formation, teetering precariously on the edge of said table. So it is my belief that this table was likely set up and staged afterwards to give the appearance of a normal party evening inside 1122 King. Nothing seemingly too out of place or disturbed that might suggest four brutal homicides had just occurred just feet away from either end of this table. Coming in at number two, and I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this one, but let's get into it. The curly fries from Xana's DoorDash order. If we are accepting the 2 a.m. timeline, then obviously Ms. Kernodle was ended by 3 a.m., so she was not available to receive that order at 4 a.m. when it was delivered. Keep in mind, we have zero proof of life for any of the four victims after 4 a.m., including any data like stomach contents from the autopsy, which might substantiate that 4 a.m. timeline. If the prosecution actually had that data, they would have been screaming that from the mountaintops years ago. They don't have that data. Coming in at number one is the sheath placed on the bed next to Miss Mogan after the attacks. Shocking, I know. In yesterday's episode, we discussed the new posing intel of Ms. Gonsalves and Ms. Mogan, as well as the covering of these two ladies with the comforter. Does this new intel further suggest that the sheath had been staged and planted on the bed after the attacks when the star field of blood beneath the sheath had already dried? In my opinion, it absolutely does. And those, ladies and gentlemen, are my top three picks for the most obviously staged items in the entire crime scene. So that concludes part three of the cleanup and staging series, and we'll be moving on to other topics next. Thank you. Have a great day.